Hello everybody, it's Ruzeth and welcome back to my channel. Today is a very special day because it is both the feast of Pesach or Passover and the day that we remember the crucifixion of Yeshua for our sins on the cross. So it's pretty significant, and this is the first year that we're actually going to be celebrating, both. Usually we celebrate, of course, Yeshua's crucifixion, and we knew that it was his sacrifice on the cross was the fulfillment of the feast of Pesach, but we've never really done both together, so that's what we're doing this year. And I'm pretty excited for tonight because we are going to be doing our very own seder plate and haggadah in Messianic perspective. Before I continue this vlog, I wanted to just sit down and chat about a few things first, mainly about chametz, which is leaven. But to put that in perspective, let me start by saying this. In the beginning of the Jewish Hebraic year, there are 3 feasts that coincide together. The first is the Feast of Pesach or Passover. You also have the Feast of Unleavened Bread or Matzah, and you have the Feast of Ruzeth, which is the Feast of First Fruits. So the Feast of Pesach is on the night of the 14th, and then the 15th to the 22nd, you have the Feast of Matzah, and the morning after the Shabbat, you had Ruzeth. And in the ancient times, I don't know what to call it, the Israelites would bring the first fruits of their sustenance, of their produce, to the Lord as an offering. And the significance in that is that if we read the New Testament, we see that Yeshua is the first fruits out of the dead. So it's amazing if you compare things that way and see how Yeshua fulfilled some of the feasts already, and how the feasts were a foreshadowing of what he would do for us. Of course, later in the year, I think I'll make some videos about the other feasts, because there are some feasts which still have to be fulfilled. But whether they are fulfilled or not, the Lord still commands us in his word to keep them. So this is the first year that we are celebrating Pesach and Yeshua's crucifixion for our sins together. But back to chametz. A week before the feast of Pesach, and more importantly the feast of Matzah, you would start removing leaven from your hoe. Bread goes because all bread has leaven. So you'd buy matzah, because this matzah it literally has, I think, it has, where's the English? Oh my goodness, but it literally just has flour and water. For one, chametz or leaven represents sin. Yeshua instituted communion at the Last Supper, where you had unleavened bread and wine. And the unleavened bread, representing his body, represents the fact that Yeshua was faultless. He was the lamb that was slain. He didn't have any sin or any imperfections, and he took all of our sins upon himself and paid the price for it, so that we could be set free if we choose him, if we choose to follow him and to pick up our cross every day. So since everything has a spiritual meaning to it, as I just explained, the feasts foreshadow things that Yeshua did and what Yeshua is still going to do. So we removed chametz from our house, but I also asked the Lord about what is the chametz in my life, physically or spiritually, that I can, get rid of. And the Lord showed me processed sugars. So that's one thing that from yesterday was the last time I decided to eat chocolates. The problem is that almost all of your chocolates have processed sugars, and processed sugars, anything that has been processed too many times has lost a lot of its nutritional value. And even if they say they've enriched it, it's not naturally the way that God had made it. So it doesn't have that nutritional value that it had at the start. And, you know, before we even get to that, a lot of the seeds have been messed up with GMOs and things like that. So yeah, there's a lot of warfare that the enemy's been doing against God's children when it comes to food. There's one more thing I want to say about chametz. Just as chametz or leaven makes a bread rise, so the more we feed our flesh, the more we bloat our flesh, or the stronger our flesh becomes, and then it's really hard laying your life down for God to use. The harder it is to win in the battle between your spirit and your flesh. So we need to discipline our flesh, and I know it's so super hard because I actually didn't want to eat chocolates yesterday night, and then I just totally fell into doing it. It's something that we need to ask the Lord for strength to do, because in our own strength it's not going to work. And yeah, that's my little chit chat about chametz and the feasts and stuff. Let's go on to the rest of the video. Now that I've made matzahs and they're currently in the oven for like 5 more minutes, then they'll be in for 15, and we flop them after 10. So now I'm gonna get started on things for the seder plate. So that was our seder. We chose a very short beginner kind of one, but next year we'll definitely try something a little longer, a little more deep, if I can call it that way. But it was good for a beginning, and I'm excited to do this again next year. There are blessings in remembering these feasts of the Lord and in keeping them. And I'm sure that every year as we do them, as we remember it as, you know, Pesach, Passover, but as also just, you know, the fact that Yeshua came and died for us, and he paid the price for us to be set free of sin, to come out of Mitzrayim, and to live in his fullness, to live in his freedom. So I'm excited for the journey from here, and yeah, I hope you guys had a wonderful Crucifixion Friday, Passover, and yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Until then, be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, and faithful in prayer. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.